Hello and welcome to my homily for the 15th Sunday of Ordinary Time. We had a great gospel today, the Good Samaritan. It is my favorite parable in the Gospels. And I love it because it's about action. Okay? It's about someone doing the right thing and about how God so clearly wants us to do exactly that, the right thing. The Good Samaritan, in spite of his people's conflict with the Jews, he did the right thing when it mattered the most. And Jesus tells this story because the Good Samaritan is who we're meant to be when we allow our faith to shape us into our best possible selves. We are at our best when we love our neighbor actively and directly, even if that neighbor is also an enemy. That's powerful stuff. And this is a good occasion to recall another basic truth. We need Christ in our minds, on our lips, and in our hearts. As Christians, we need all three. We need him in our mind that we may understand him and what he's asking us to do and why he's so absolutely critical, not only for ourselves, but for the entire world. And we need him in our hearts because Christ is more than an idea. He is a person, and we should love him accordingly. And finally, he should be on our lips, that we proclaim him in the world. And bear in mind, we do that in other ways beyond our lips. We use our hands and our feet as well. But for the sake of easy-to-remember gestures, we summarize it with Christ in our minds, on our lips, and in our hearts. I bring this up today because a wise fellow once wrote in the 70s, he said, a big problem with faith today is that a lot of people have Christ in their hearts, but they never let him get to their heads. So he's talking about the people that like Jesus. They like the whole God is love thing, but they don't want to think too hard about who Jesus really is and what his existence means for all of reality. So they want the benefits of Jesus, but they don't want to think about him too much or take him too seriously. Because if you take Jesus seriously, your whole life might change overnight. And that's scary. I get that. But we can't just love Jesus for the easy stuff. We need to know what this divine revelation is really all about. This writer I mentioned a second ago, he wrote, "My heart can't rejoice in what my mind has rejected." I think that's a very powerful quote. My heart cannot rejoice in what my mind has rejected. So yeah, our love, our enthusiasm, our feelings for Jesus need to be in line with our understanding, our wisdom, our knowledge, our rationality of Jesus. Our faith becomes transformative when we love him because we know him, and vice versa. So once you have that, once your heart and your head are in alignment, then you only have one step left before you're a Good Samaritan, a modern version of a Good Samaritan. That's acting on what is in your heart and in your head. And that's where the priest and the Levite failed in the gospel story of the Good Samaritan. See, they had God in their hearts. They were both holy people. Be uncharitable to accuse them of not having God in their hearts. And they were both learned guys, not only about the law, but the situation. They knew that a bloody, broken man was lying in the street, and he might very well die of his injuries if no one helped him. No ignorance is at play in this parable. So what was their fault? Well, unfortunately, they didn't allow their faith to move them into action, and they piously walked around the bloody man. And that is a perfect example of faith that apparently doesn't mean anything. And let's be honest, we all act like that sometimes. We take the easy way out from time to time. It is hard to do what is right instead of what is easy. And that does not invalidate your faith. It doesn't make you a hypocrite. If that was true, then the only real Christians in the world are the ones who are heroic 24 hours a day, every day. Those people are rare. But nevertheless, we need this goal. We need to let our faith mold us into different people, better people than we otherwise would be. And that happens when Christ is with you and in you. When your faith makes it into your heart, your head, your lips, your hands, your feet. When that happens, you become a very different person indeed. You become a good Samaritan. And I'm speaking a little more passionately than usual today, I think, because this idea. This is the closest thing I have to a conversion story. I was born Catholic, and faith, it's always come easy to me, for whatever reason. But up until college, I was one of the many people that had Christ in his heart, and not really anywhere else. I believed in Jesus. I definitely wanted to go to heaven. It sounded way better than the other place. But let's be honest, I can barely handle the heat in Florida. Burning lake of unending fire that smells like rotten eggs, probably not for me. So I had childish, shallow, simple faith, and that's fine. That's normal when you're young. But when I got to college, that faith was challenged almost immediately. And that forced me to seriously think about what it is I believe and what religion I belong to, if any. It's what I call my faith audit. And it took me the bulk of my freshman year. And halfway-ish through that process, somewhere in spring semester, I was finally able to put my finger on the critical detail. Some people would call this experience their eureka moment. This is my eureka moment. I realized one day that all the sins and all the problems of society and history and the church, well, they're caused by people, not God. For all of my frustrations about the state of the world, about the problems that apparently come with any organized religion, for all of that, I couldn't think of a single reason. I couldn't think of one singular reason for why Christ deserved my disloyalty. Assuming Christ is who he says he is, the Son of God, then turning away from him would merely add to the injustice of the world. I would be just one more person showing his ingratitude for the salvation that he won for me on the cross. I made an oath to myself that day in that dingy dorm room of a remarkably unchristian college. I refused to live my life built on a foundation of disloyalty and ingratitude. Even as a know-nothing 19-year-old, I knew enough about that. That was not the life I wanted to live. That's not the man I wanted to become. And furthermore, I reasoned that if it was illogical to turn my back on Christ, it was equally illogical to remain Catholic on paper and act and live my life as if he doesn't really make much difference one way or another. Christ is all or nothing. Either he is a myth and a fairy tale, or he is the only thing in existence worthy of my loyalty and my worship. That was the day. that Christ went from my heart to my head. It did not take him long to get to my lips, my hands, and my feet. I started living my life knowing that Christ cared deeply about what I would do in my life. Would I be a priest who walks around the bloody, dying man? Or would I be a Samaritan who helps those most in need? The answer, of course, is both. I feel it bears repeating. No one is the Good Samaritan 100% of the time. We are a fallen humanity. It's just not possible. We have sinful, selfish moments. That doesn't invalidate your faith. It doesn't make you a hypocrite, because every single day that you crawl out of bed in the morning, every single day is a fresh opportunity to be like the priest and the Levite, or to be like the Good Samaritan. So every day, try your best to do the right thing. And strive always to have Christ in your mind, on your lips, and in your heart. God bless you all. Thank you.